So welcome back to the second session of today's conference. We have tackled many topics in these last days. We have come to acknowledge that not only technology is important, we have to involve also the public sector and the community. And there are some points that we well, I would say we discovered, at least in my experience. We need the technology, we need the regulatory framework, we need international cooperation, and we need also capacity building. So now I am very happy and very proud to introduce you to Ms. Catalina Avila, also a good friend from us here at Energiewende, from the Renewables Academy. Renewables Academy is a company that has been for many years now taking care of providing capacity building services in many countries. And I think Catalina will make the presentation better than I can do. Welcome, Catalina, and you may share your presentation now so that we can all profit from it.
Well, thank you, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be sharing my screen. Am I sharing it properly? Yes.
Yes, there you are.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be with you on the same presentation, I would say, and it's a pleasure to be in ExpoVirtual, and as a Colombian and part of the Latin American population, it's a great honor for me to be here as well. So I will be a lot shorter than Christian was. I will take just 20 minutes to tell you a little bit about the relevance of further education for the market development of green energies. So as Maria was saying, we have to take into consideration other things than just technologies. We have heard in the last few days about the latest technologies in the market, especially here in Germany, and how it has developed in over 30 years that the energiewende has been taking place. And in countries, in our countries in Latin America, it has just been a few years of these developments. So it is very relevant that we take education into consideration, because it's part of the development. So previously we talked about technology, now we have to talk about the people. And like Maria also mentioned this morning, well, a couple of hours ago, she said, leave no one behind. And education is the way of leaving no one behind. So I would like to show you a little bit about what we do in RENAC and why we think that there are so many potentials, and there's so much potential for education in renewable energies. I will talk about three things: co-benefits of the energiewende, or the energy transition, and the use of renewable energies, how jobs are increasing around the world, and why human capital development and further education are so relevant. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Renewables Academy also here in Berlin. Well, let's talk about first the co-benefits of the energy transition. As we have heard in the last few days, it's not only about technology, but there are also social and economic opportunities that presented by the energy transition. And they have also spurred the growth of the renewable energy generation in many countries. So many countries are developing very, very quick as they see all of the opportunities that renewable energies bring to the countries. So it's not only about climate change mitigation, but it also it also includes local economic value creation, new employment opportunities, cleaner air, access to affordable energy, and rural development. Rural development has been one of the key factors that have moved the energiewende in Germany. So many years ago, communities organized themselves to include renewable energy technologies in their communities and in their little towns. So for example, in many towns in Germany, you can see cooperatives of people organizing and financing and finding ways to create their own energy and generate their own energy in their communities. And that's part of the co-benefits of the renewable energy. I want to show you this graph because I think this graph is very important. Here you can see the job creation in the last few years. So the renewable energy sector has had a growth, a potential growth, I would say, in the last 10 years. You can see that for the last year, we had a total of around almost 12 million jobs in the world that were on renewable energies. You can see that, for example, here, photovoltaics have had a lot of growth. And in our countries in South America, we can see a lot of growth in bioenergy, for example. I will show you the graph for Latin America. If we keep this growth and if we include green recovery programs in the recovery programs after COVID, we can see a boost in the creation of jobs worldwide. And if you see here, for Latin America and the Caribbean, there's a lot of potential in renewable energies here, and there's a lot of potential in energy efficiency solutions. So we could create around 6 million new jobs just in Latin America and the Caribbean if we focus on recovery programs that include the use of renewable energies and the use of energy efficiency measures. So this is a really big growth opportunities, and it's a lot of it brings a lot of economic development as well. Not only benefits the climate, but it also brings development to rural communities and increases job opportunities in a specific sector that is quickly growing. I wanted to show you also that there are job opportunities among the whole value chain of renewable energies. So if you see these dots over here, this is the quantity of jobs that are needed over the whole value chain of the renewable energies. We see here photovoltaic energies and wind energy, and we see that the most jobs are created in these two areas for installation and operations and maintenance. Nevertheless, there are also a lot of jobs here in acquisition and manufacturing, but most of these jobs don't go to our countries. Most of these jobs, if we go back here, go to the countries in Asia. That's why we see here so much opportunity for jobs in these countries. But it's relevant also to see here that we might need a lot of skills, not only technical skills that we might need here or here, but we also need another skills here. We might need skills for example, what Christian was telling us about, for planning, for acquisition and manufacturing. But for acquisition, we might need knowledge in finance. So there are a lot of areas of knowledge where we need to focus when we think about renewable energies. It's not only about technology, but we also need to include the public sector, as Maria was mentioning, the regulatory sector. And we also need to think about laws, economics, and a whole wide scenario for skill development. So, as I was mentioning, there are different stakeholders that engage in the value chain. We have ministers in parliaments, we have lawyers and policymakers, we have engineers, economists, lawyers, public servants, we have grid operators, we have people for maintenance and operation, we have installation companies. We have a wide range of stakeholders that need to be taken into account. So the existing and the projected opportunities in green energy development have to be matched by skilled workforce that is adaptable and expandable according to those market needs. So as the market continues to grow, the knowledge of these people needs to be fortified, I would say. So it has to be a system, an education system that is very flexible and very quickly and can adapt really quick to the current needs. So I would say that the most important thing is human capital development. It would be a key successful for it. It's a successful for the energy transition. The green energy sector in Latin America and the Caribbean has faced most of its growth in the recent years. So the education system have to be revised, right? But there has to be changes in the curricula. There has to be a relation between the education system and the industry. So everything has to be very fast, but at the same time, doing all those changes in a traditional education system takes time. So there's a lot of opportunities in the further education programs because they offer flexibility, they offer adaptability, and all the things that are necessary for a quick growing market like the green energy market, especially in Latin America. I wanted to also tell you that I did a little bit of research on where the courses are taking place in the world. And most of the courses in renewable energy take place in Europe, but only around 6% of the courses take place in Latin America. So there's a lot of potential for us to go to Latin America to increase the knowledge sharing or increase education and further education programs in our region so we can help develop the market even further. So I wanted to tell you also a little bit, because I only have a couple of minutes, I also wanted to tell you about RENAC and what we have done in these last few years. So we think of energy and energy development, that we think of energy through education. We think that through education, we can help the market growth, we can help develop the market, and we can focus on the people so that many projects can be developed in the regions. So we are a Berlin-based training specialist for renewable energy and energy efficiency. We focus on these two topics, but we also are in developing courses for climate finance. We know that climate finance is also relevant, and as Christian and mentioned earlier, so we need to have finance on our side, right? So until now, we have trained over 19,000 participants from around 160 countries. All these little dots that you see here are where the people come from, where we have trained the people from. We do several things. We do trainings and capacity building programs. They have different durations. We have partnerships with universities to focus on their courses for renewable energies and energy efficiency. We do business matchmaking, and we partner up with the AHACAs also in the regions. We know companies there as well. We do consulting for market development, and we can help in information exchange and experiences exchange. And we have learned about the energiewende for many years, so all these lessons can be taken into Latin America as well. We have developed also courses in several topics. We have developed courses in policy frameworks, renewable energy and energy efficiency technologies, in planning, in the co-benefits of renewable energy. Of course, economics and financing is a really, really important part. So we developed a successful program called the Green Banking Program for renewable energies and energy efficiency, where we have a module for climate finance. We do courses on tendering and procurement, entrepreneurship and job creation. And as you can see, we cover the whole value chain of renewable energies. Because we really consider that education has all the potential to help on the growth of the green energy markets. What are the activities of RENAC? We do trainings for industry, we do trainings for individuals, we partner up with universities to have university degrees. We do capacity building services, and as mentioned before, we do market development and consulting. These are some examples of the current projects that we have in Latin America. We have, for example, the co-benefits project. We're doing research and examples on the co-benefits of renewable energy in Mexico. We have the Estrella project, when we're working with the OLADE in the region to develop the curricula for some universities and include renewable energy and energy efficiency programs in their curricula and build training centers in these 3 countries, Argentina, Peru, and Uruguay. We have our green banking program in the region, and that includes Peru, Colombia, and Central America, if I'm not wrong. And we are also talking about topics that are relevant for the current situation. We have a green recovery program for Central America. We recently have a conference about green recovery. So what are the benefits of using renewable energy and energy efficiency measures as ways of recovery and economic recovery after COVID? So taking into account renewable energies for further economic growth is a big opportunity for strategies and for governments to include after recovery for COVID. I also wanted to mention you the Especialización en Energías Renovables, which we partner up with our University, and it's a online course that you can take. It's an, I'm sorry, especializaciones. It has a title and especialización. I don't know really what's called in English, sorry. But it's very interesting for you to also take a look at that, because it's a program that we developed in Spanish, and that you can take credits for from Earth University in cooperation with RENAC. So that's it, Maria. Thank you very much. I think I covered my 20 minutes. I was trying to be really, really fast. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Catalina. You covered your 20 minutes very, very...
running.
Yeah, you're a good girl, I wanted to say. Thank you very much. It is like that. We have talked in all of these presentations about creating local opportunities. The energy transition brings, as you said, many co-benefits. We talked with Carla Tapia the first day, also really great opportunities for the community, and all of the actors need to come together. Everybody has to benefit from this transition. And I think not only I, but everybody that has been talking in these days think education is absolutely the way to go. And I'm glad that you're here and talk to us about this point. Renewables Academy has also a booth in the Green Energy Pavilion. So if you have any question regarding some of the services that they have, either online or present, then you can go there and visit the colleagues from RENAC, for short, from Renewables Academy. Catalina, thank you very much for being here. It's a little bit after hours in Germany, but you managed, and I'm happy to see you always.
Thank you, Maria, and have a nice rest of the conference. And thank you for inviting us to everyone, take advantage of this great opportunity of this fair.
Thank you, Catalina. I want to talk about something. Catalina said this also. We need to work together. Other conference speakers also said, if you don't know we're here, you can ask us. And this is probably my word now for inviting our next speaker, because we need to work together. So we can work together through networks. And my next speaker is Ms. Tina Barroso. Tina, welcome. We are really honored and happy that you made it with us. Tina is in this times very busy with many different international conferences also in the renewable energy sector, and you took the time, and that is really a pleasure for us. We talked about this. We need to work together, and this next block we're going to present zwei networks. Tina will present us the network Hypatia. It is a network of women in the clean energy sector. And I leave you the floor, Tina. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. I feel really honored that you invited me. Feel honored to be here today. And as you said, there are a lot of things we have to talk. We have heard about financing today, about jobs, education, and well, Catalina stated it. There's a lot more we should speak about. So I'm here today to speak about networking and female networks, networking for women. So Maria, could you please confirm that you are seeing my screen?
Yes, Tina, we're seeing it.
Okay,
thank you.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. So hello to everyone watching this, and I'm happy to be here today. Now I'd like to talk about women in the energy industry. So have you ever wondered where the energy women are? I have asked this question a number of times before. For the first time, it was at the Intersolar Expo when it still took place in Freiburg quite some years ago. And I had recently joined the energy sector coming from the fashion industry. And you can imagine there were huge differences between both industries, above all at fairs and exhibitions and conferences. So in the very beginning, I felt like, let's say, a kind of celebrity. Only a handful of women were at trade fairs and conferences, and everyone would recognize us, the women. But then soon I started to ask myself, where are the women in this industry? So I looked for women at the fairs and events, and well, over the years, I found more and more of us. My personal feeling is that the number of women in energy developed like this over the years. So if you are from Germany or are familiar with the German energy system, you might have recognized this graphic. It's the share of PV in primary energy consumption in Germany. But hey, I'm pretty sure that the growth in the share of women, of energy women, is kind of the same. Well, I wanted to network with women in my job, and so I did some research. I find out some interesting facts, and I'm going to share them with you. I will give you a brief insight into the obstacles for women in the energy industry, and also an overview of networks for women. So these networks set the level right there where the obstacles are. So let's see, what were the most important results of my research? In 2016, the Federal Ministry of Environment in Austria commissioned a study on equal opportunities for women and men in the energy industry. I have placed the link here in the presentation so that you can download it, but it's in German only. I could not find any English translation or even Spanish. Unfortunately, I could not find any comparable data or figures for Germany or for any Latin American countries. So if you have information, figures, or studies like this, please let me know. I would really be grateful to have it. The study results have shown that the proportion of women in the energy sector continues to be low. So here you see the lila bars, they are for all energy companies, and the green bars are for the renewables only. And the left bar shows the share of women in companies, and the right one, the percentage of female leaders. However, you see that the numbers are around 10% higher in the renewable energies than the average for the entire industry. And it's a similar picture when it comes to management positions on the first to third levels. Only 10% are held by women in the entire industry, at 80% in the renewables. During the study, they developed a detailed questionnaire, and they sent it to the 24 largest energy employers and more than 400 further energy companies. So one of the numerous questions was this one. Please state the reason for the low proportion of women in the energy industry. And we will see now the answers they received. And please don't forget, it's a male-dominated industry. So these are the answers. There's a lack of women with suitable qualification. There's a lack of role models for women, and women are not visible. So for me, it sounds like the reason are women themselves. And it didn't make me happy. So I started to analyze and to find answers to these statements. Well, first statement was there's a lack of women with suitable qualification. But the number of women graduating in engineering, for example, has been increasing over the years. These figures show the German ones, but internationally it's similar. So there are women with qualification. And if you want, you will find them. So one step to improve that could be to write job advertisements for female engineers, and then more women would apply. So if the job advertisement would show the female side of the job, more women would apply. I'm pretty sure of that. Well, this is a short and incomplete list of networks of women in energy. So it shows global and local networks, energy, mobility, hydrogen. It's worth to have a closer look, and I would be happy to share it with you. Just let me know. Carla Tapia told me that in Latin America, we have two formal associations. One is in Mexico and the other one in Argentina. And that there is a kind of informal group. So if you're interested, you might get in touch with Carla. She spoke, she's in a program. She spoke on wind energy on Tuesday, I think. Or you write me an email and I set you both in touch. So what networks for women in energy do you know? If you know any network for women, please write it in the chat and let me know. And I will include it here in my presentation before I share it. So let's see, the next statement. The next statement was, there are no female role models in the energy sector that women can use for orientation. And in my opinion, this statement is due to the industry being male dominated. So these are more than 100 high qualified energy women in Germany. And there are many more here in Germany. So imagine how it is globally. Well, let's see the third statement. Women are not visible very much in the energy sector. Well, this is a statement I have to agree to. I don't like to say it, but women are still not very visible in the energy sector. It's like this. So if you take a technical magazine and compare numbers of men and women there, how many men, how many women are mentioned, quoted, interviewed, and so on? And if you take conference programs and compare the speakers list, how many male, how many female speakers will you find? Sometimes it's incredible. So I find it quite frustrating, but I think it's in our hands to change this. So if you look at this, and if you're a woman, I ask you here now, please take action, send papers, articles, speaking proposals. And if you are a man watching this, I ask you here now, please recommend a female colleague for speaking slots and interviews. Let's be aware and let's change the situation. Well, with my position at Connexio, I organize conferences for the energy industry. And what you see here are some of the databases I use when I'm searching for female speakers. Do you know international databases for female speakers? Next question, please write them in the chat so I can include it here in this presentation and share with everyone. And by the way, there's a lot of best practice, like the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue last year with over 50% female speakers, international female speakers. Or the Twitter list, Women in Energy, I started 2 years ago showing, meanwhile, the tweets of 84 women in the energy field. And what I also often do is to ask my networks for recommendations. Above all, in the Hypatia network. Hypatia is the network for women in energy I have co-founded 10 years ago. We have named it. We have named the network after Hypatia, who was a philosopher, astronomer, mathematician, and recognized university teacher and wise counsel in Alexandria. She lived around 350 to 415. We interconnect energiewende Frauen, women in the energy transition, women who work or are interested in the energy transition. We are non-profit, and everything is done as volunteer work by our members. Currently, we are around 45. We have 45 members, I think, and reach more than 400 newsletter subscribers. In our focus are equal opportunities for women and men, the energy transition, and the promotion of women in their career planning. But above all, it's the networking. At Hypatia, we organize several events per year, mainly in Berlin, like twice a year, the so-called theme night with professional input from specialists and discussions. And we also offer power tables. These are more informal events for personal networking. And every 2 years, we have the Summer Academy. This is for the development of the skills of our network members. Well, nowadays, the events are virtual, like the Hypatia session at Forum New Energy World 2 weeks ago. And if you'd like to get in touch, you write down the information and write me an email, give me a call. You will find me on the social media and networks, and I would be happy to network with you. Thank you.
Tina, thank you very much for your presentation. As you said, as you asked, how many women do you know that are making a presentation, invite women to hold conferences? I looked very, very fast in our program. We have 30 speakers and 10 of them are women.
But you know, it's, yeah, you know, it's, I think it's a good quote. I have read about conferences and events with 0 women, not even the moderator was female. So this is the kind of conferences I say, I don't go there. So if they have no one on stage, how many women will be in the public, in the attendees. So
yes, I think we have many wonderful professionals, men and women, and I think the best mix is to have the views from everyone. And well, yeah, it was in our conference, probably not 50-50, but it's a good thing. We had engineers, we had also other professionals from ministries in Latin America and in Germany. So I think the renewable energy and the clean energy and energy efficiency sector is probably one of the sectors that is advancing in this regard. So I think it is wonderful, especially I think it's wonderful, this concept of a network to support each other, not only in this topic from women in the renewable energies or clean energies, but in any other topic. There is a question, Tina, that I'm going to read for you.
Mm-hmm.
The question says, if a group of women in a Latin American country wanted to found a similar network, what would be your advice to them? What are the first necessary steps to consider? It's a long question. If you want, I will divide it in two. You may answer this one, and then I will read to you the third question from the same person.
Well, I'm not aware of the law issues you have to do if you, like Hypatia, this is a network which is registered so that we do not have to pay taxes and do not have to charge taxes for if we charge tickets for our events. So you should get legal advice if you want to found the network. And what I would recommend are, let's say, 2 or 3 things. Find women that are that have some passion to have this network, because every network has the power of their members. So if it's just one woman or 2 of them driving everything, so it's going to be like delayed or a little bit difficult. If there are 5 of them, so the spread of the word is much more easier, and I think you will be able to achieve more things. And then I would recommend not to lose time doing plans, and just have an idea and try to carry it and to realize it and do experiments, and don't be afraid of failing. So there is no failure, it's just learning of our mistakes. Go ahead.
That is perfect. Thank you, Tina. I will tell you the next question, even though I think a little bit you answered when you said don't be afraid. The next question is, what were the biggest problems and hurdles you experienced while building the network? I don't know how many members started this network. If you were just a couple of professional women, or if you can tell us a little bit about it.
So we were 3 of us with the idea, and it took us, let's say, like a year to get our ideas together and to make a little plan. And then we looked for role models, female role models in the industry, and asked 2 or 3 of them, there were not many at this time 10 years ago, to support us. And from there it was really easy. So they helped us a lot, they gave their name and their faces, and we started the network. And well, the hurdle I think that might be is like, it's like a wave, so sometimes many of us carrying on the things and giving our power and giving our effort besides the regular jobs. And sometimes there are less. So it's like breathing. You inhale and exhale. And what you just do is accept it. Don't force it if there is not many energy in it. Just wait and keep it going. And there will be a time and a place where things go forward and just get energy again, and we'll be fine.
Thank you very much. That was exactly something that I was thinking about. The time, you have to find the time, and the energy, the inner energy to be able to, after work or your daily activities, to get together and make plans for, for a goal that it's for many people together and not just for one person. So thank you, Tina. It was wonderful having you with us, and I hope that we will see you again and in person.
I'm pretty sure. You're both in Berlin, so let's go for lunch when this Corona thing is better.
I'm there. Thank you, Tina. So now I see that Mr. Kövener is already there. Mr. Kövener, thank you very much for coming to our conference. You have a very busy schedule, and you jumped in very, very fast when we asked, and we're very happy. So Mr. Kövener is going to talk to us about the work in a network. What we were saying the other days was we don't need to invent everything every time, but we can learn from each other, and you can tell us about the basis from the work in networking and energy efficiency. So if you want to share your presentation now, it would be good, and then we're good to go.
Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Hopefully everybody can understand me.
We can hear you perfectly.
Oh, that's good. So that works.
Yes.
Let me just see. Yeah. Is that readable? Otherwise, I switch to a PowerPoint presentation.
If you have the PowerPoint presentation open,
it's
probably
no
better,
problem.
because the screen of our audience is smaller.
Let me just check that one. Okay. Hopefully you see that right now.
No, we're still seeing the PDF.
I have to share the screen again.
Okay.
That is the point. I just shared it for the PDF. Sorry for that one. Just give me a moment. Okay, and now I have to switch. So now that should be better.
Yes, we're seeing two screens. The small
two.
One
okay, wait a moment. I'll try to switch that off.
Bei Einzeiger muss man wechseln.
Okay, just let me check that once again. We will get it done in a moment.
Of course, no doubt about it.
So now I have to. Wait a moment, please. So here we go. That's clarified. Now, once again, I have to. I think now we are in presentation mode.
Yes.
Here we go.
We're there. Many thanks. I have to mention we didn't have the opportunity to test before, because we had a cancellation, and you were so friendly to come with us in the last minute. So I am very thankful.
Yeah, okay. What I'm talking about is about energy efficiency networks, and mainly focused on Germany. We've got quite a bit of a history here regarding energy efficiency networks, and that's what I wanted to present. What is the basic concept, and what is the outcome of these networks? So that would be the main topic here of this presentation. I think it will take me something between 15 and 20 minutes, so we've got a little bit of time to ask one or two or a couple of questions, I would say. Okay, let's start right away. Oh, I was a bit fast here. Just one question in between now. I switched page slides. Do you see the second slide now, the basic network concept? Because I had problems switching the slides a couple of times.
I can see it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Concept.
Then everything seems to be fine. Okay. What is the basic concept about energy efficiency networks? Usually, a network that you see here, this blue arrow, lasts for about 3 to 4 years. I've got here as an example a 4-year network. And in the beginning, that is the orange part. That's the acquisition, how to get the companies into the networks. We are talking about usually about larger companies joining such a network, and network consists usually about between 10 and 15 companies. And the overall goal is to exchange information and knowledge about energy saving procedures. So that's what the very basic concept is about. In the beginning, also in the first year, we've got an audit for every company that is participating, because we need a number of energy efficiency measures so that the company know where they can save energy. And it's also important for the target setting. So we want to quantify all our measures, and a company usually only will invest in measures that are profitable. So a typical energy audit according to the ISO 50002 is a typical starting point. Here in Europe, or in the EU, that's not a big deal, because every large company is required to do these audits every 4 years, or introduce an ISO 50001, an energy management system. So that means usually the companies will already know about their energy saving potentials. But in other countries that might differ a little bit. So an energy audit is a typical starting point to join such a network. During the kickoff meeting, that's also that's the first meeting. We specify the topics for all the upcoming meetings. For a 4-year approach, you usually have between 12 and 16 meetings, so 3 to 4 meetings per year. And these meetings have always specific topics. Usually these are technical topics like compressed air systems, like use of waste heat, lighting, whatever is relevant for all the network participants. So that's done in the first meeting, in the kickoff meeting. When all the audits are done, which is usually done within the next, 9 to 12 months, if the companies do not have already an audit. So after more or less about a year, we've got all the audits together, and then we do a target setting, meaning what amount of energy will every company save throughout the network period. That's here just before the second year starts. I've mentioned here the target setting. Hopefully you see the mouse here, the mouse over here. That's the target setting. And then we do every year a monitoring, meaning we ask the companies what measures do they have already implemented. So what amount of energy they are already saving. So that's done at the beginning of the second year, the beginning of the third year, and the beginning of the fourth year. And so we actually keep track not only on the planned measures, but also on the already implemented measures. And that's quite understandable, because otherwise a target setting doesn't make sense. If you set for yourself a target, you have to monitor it. Otherwise, you do not know if you will reach your target. So that's more or less the technical terms. At the end, we've got a final meeting where we present all the results. Typically, these meetings, like the final meeting, like the target setting and the kickoff meeting, are accompanied with press releases. So it is also not only about technical terms, it's also about communication. And if we go down here below the graph or the figure, we see the main goals of the network approach is basically a team building process. It's not a technical approach. It's actually an approach where different companies and different people come together and exchange their knowledge and information. And that's basically all about the team building process. And that is what a network makes so successful, because companies help each other to get measures implemented. And therefore, it's very important that you create something like a team out of all these different participants. So that is actually the main point of the network, to create a team in order that all these team members are able to help each other. So that's the basic concept. I won't go into details here. A little bit about network history. I just flipped through the main points here. The basic idea came or was invented in 1987 in Zurich, so in Switzerland, and it took us about 15 years to get the idea transferred to Germany. We started here in Germany our first network, that was Energiemodell Hohenlohe, in 2001. And until 2009, we started a couple of single networks, but we didn't go for a systematic approach. That really actually changed with the 30 Pilot Network project, where we set up about 30 networks throughout Germany, and actually supported it in a scientific way, and tried to set up something like a network management system. And that was really the starting point for the energy efficiency networks here in Germany. And in the end, and that's the last part here, it ended up in the 500 network energy efficiency network initiative that was founded by 22 different industrial associations. And I think the foundation was in the end of 2014. And they said, we want to set up about 500 networks until the end of 2020. We do not really reach the 500 networks. I think we are close to 400 right now at the moment. And but nevertheless, that means it's a real success story. And I will tell you a little bit more about the figures later on. Okay. Now some key figures about these networks. What did we reach here in Germany? As I said already, here it's here I've got the slightly more exact figure. We had about 450 networks since 2002 in Germany. Currently operational are about 200 networks. As I said, a typical network running time is about 3 to 4 years. A couple of networks last a little bit longer, but usually they do not run for 20 years or something like that. So as we have got this history about 20 years ago, we've had already a couple of networks that were closed down after 3, 4, 5 years. So currently operational about 200 networks. That means, as we've got an average number of companies of 12 per networks, so 200 times 12, that's about 2,400, 2,500 2,400 companies joining these networks at the current stage. What do we have within the networks? As I said in the beginning, we do this audit, and usually we identify about 15 to 20 measures, depending a little bit on the size of the company. And we figured out that half of these measures are usually can be defined as profitable, meaning we've got an internal rate of return of more than 12%. That's just our definition. We said 12% looks fine with us, and so we said, well, 12%, that is the limit to be profitable. So if you put it up to 15%, these number would slightly decrease. What does a company save if they have joined such a network? An average saving per company in final energy is about 1 gigawatt hour per company, but that's also really dependent on the size of the company, because well, if you've got smaller companies, they probably save less, but if you've got, on the other hand, very large companies, they can save about 10 to 15 megawatt hours. I've got an example on that one. That company is currently saving about 7 gigawatt hours per year, not megawatt hours, sorry, I'm always talking about gigawatt hours here. So as I said, the average is about 1 gigawatt hour in final energy, and that equals about 1.4 gigawatt hour in primary energy. And according to the energy savings, we have got an average saving in CO2 reductions, or a CO2 reduction of about 420 tons per year. So if you multiply that with the number of networks and with the number of companies per network, you currently end up with total savings here in Germany of about 2,400 gigawatt hours per year, which is about 2.4 terawatt hours, which is quite a bit of energy actually. Total savings in primary energy accordingly are 3.4 terawatt hours, or 3,400 gigawatt hours per year. And the CO2 reduction which are reached by the networks are currently about 1 million tons of CO2 equivalents per year. So this is actually quite a number. I think Germany is slightly below 800 million tons of CO2 equivalents per year. So it's a fair share for these networks that they can save actually. Another couple of figures is some more basic figures in energy ENN. That's the abbreviation for energy efficiency network. That's usually operates about 27 months. I already said, well, some networks running only for 2 years, a couple of them for 4 years, a few ones even longer. So the average running time we have experienced is about 27 months. Most of the networks are regional networks, so they are located in one region, but a couple of them, actually about 20%, are sectoral networks where companies from the same sector join such a networks. These can be nationwide, these kind of networks. That's pretty interesting because these companies have got all the same problems because they come all from the same sector. It's a rather homogeneous group. But you might have one showstopper in these kind of networks, because if you've got direct opponents, direct competitors in the same network, that probably won't work. So there are branches or sectors where that works, but on the other hand, there are quite a few sectors where you won't have a sectoral network approach. I mentioned beforehand these 19 measures that were identified and about 10 measures that are profitable. We experience that not all of these measures are implemented. Nevertheless, about in average, the companies implement about 4.1 measures while participating in such a network, which is still quite a good amount. And what we also experienced, that's the last point here, network in average have an annual efficiency increase of 2.2% per year. German industry, in comparison to that, has only about 0.9% per year. That means joining a network speeds up the implementation process, or the efficiency gains by more than a factor of 2. And that is actually quite a success story for us. So that's basically about the key figures. We've got some feedback from participants. I won't go through all the points here because it's easy to read, and that's the main point why I've chosen this slide, because that gives you quite a good overview of how the participants rate these concept of energy efficiency networks. Well, let's start with the first point here. 80% rated the benefits of the network as rather high, which is quite a success story. And if you go down through the list of bullet points, you see the overall acceptance of these energy efficiency networks here in Germany is actually pretty high. And that's what we also experience on the international market. We implemented networks in Ukraine, and currently we're implementing them in Nigeria and in Jordan. And we've got always the same story here. If companies join a network and if they see the outcome, they're pretty satisfied with participating in it. So, as I said, I won't go through all the single points here. I just wanted to mention them so that you've got the chance to read them. What is quite interesting here, that's another research we've done, savings per technology area. Companies usually, and that's what you see down here in the list as well, usually implement their measures in what we call cross-cutting technologies, meaning that are technologies that are more or less available in every company. That is I lost the letter here. The third one is building insulation. No, I've just written the wrong letter here. I've just written here an L instead of a B. I'll change that one. Building insulation, that is a typical cross-cutting technology: ventilation, air conditioning, compressed air cooling, lighting, motors, heat recovery. These are all these typical cross-cutting technologies that you probably find in more or less every company. There is one point, where is it? Process engineering. That's the fourth here from the right side here. I'm trying to highlight it a little bit. That is a specific, or these are specific measures that are dependent on what the company is actually producing. So these can vary quite a bit. But the other points, as you see, are more or less technologies that are, as I said, available in more or less every company. And what you see, what is also quite interesting, is lighting. This is by far the largest measure, or by far the measure that is implemented in more or less every company. We asked, I do not know the exact amount of companies. I think it was about 150 to 200 companies. And more or less every company implemented lighting measures. That is simple to do, easy to do, and it's always rather profitable, and therefore this is the first measure to be implemented. Another thing we figured out, it's about compressed air. If companies have compressed air systems, they always go for optimizing these systems, because bringing down the energy consumption in compressed air systems is in every case extremely profitable. That's what we found out as well. You cannot see that here from this slide, but that's also a pretty interesting point. I've never ever seen one measure in compressed air that was not profitable. Well, as you see, it's quite a bit of energy savings here. We have got a total number of 860 measures, and with these 860 measures, all these companies are saving about 190,000 megawatt hours, equaling 190 gigawatt hours per year, which is quite a bit actually. So now I'm going to more or less the last part here of my presentation. That's general profitability. We calculated it on an average base. Here are the 107 measures that were implemented in the network in Karlsruhe. That's a city where I'm living in. The average investment sum per measure was about 20,000 euros, slightly more than 20,000 euros, and the average annual savings, energy cost savings, are about 6,700 euros per year. So we ended up with an average internal rate of return of 33%, and which more or less equals a static payback period of 3 years. The variation is quite big. We had a couple of measures that had a payback period of a couple of weeks, but on the other hand, we also had a couple of measures where the payback period was 5-6 years. Nevertheless, the companies were interested in implementing them because if you implement, for example, a CHP system with a payback period of 6 years, and the typical operational lifetime is about 15 years, you still have 9 years to earn money with your investment. So companies tend to implement measures with longer payback periods if they know that they will stay at that production site. So if they do not close down the site, it's a rather safe investment. That's generally something you have to keep in mind. The risk in investing into energy efficiency is rather low. Actually, there is no really a technical risk, because all these technologies are well known, and you might have something like a price risk or energy cost risk, because you do not know how the energy prices will develop. But taking into account the current situation, probably the energy prices will rise and will not fall, and that means that this is a rather safe bet to invest into energy efficiency. So that means the only risk you probably have is that you close down the whole site. If you do that, then your investment is definitely lost. But I think most of the companies know if they're in danger of closing the whole site. So that probably won't come out of the blue. And that means, all in all, energy investing into energy efficiency is not a really related with high risks. So here is another example of a profitability, of the overall profitability that was done by our colleagues from EnBW. And that is an energy supplier, one of these large energy suppliers here in Germany. They ran about 50 networks here in Germany, and one of these networks, they did this kind of calculation. The overall investment sum of the 10 companies participating in this network for energy efficiency measures was about 2.4 million euros. And with these 2.4 million euros, they got energy cost savings of, or they created energy cost savings of 1.4 million euros per year. So that means you've got an average payback period of only 1.7 years for all these investment. And as I already said, some of these investment are even more profitable, coming down to payback periods of a couple of months, and others take a little bit longer. But the average here in this case was about 1.7 years. So, and finally, I think that's more or less my last slide here, is a very small case study. There is a tire manufacturer. This company implemented, you see that here below in the graph, from 2009 to 2013, they invested into 37 different measures. Only 11 out of them were mentioned in the audit report. The other 26 measures, they came up with these new ideas throughout the operational period of the energy efficiency network. So what did they reach? They reduced their electricity consumption by 2.4 gigawatt hours, or 2,400 megawatt hours per year. They saved about 1,717 megawatt hours in natural gas, and quite a bit in district heat, close to 3,000 megawatt hours. So their overall CO2 reduction ended up at 1,500 tons per year. What did they invest? Close to €1 million. That's the profitability calculation here. They saved about 490,000 euros per year. And so they ended up with an average payback period of these 37 measures of 1.9 years. And that equals an internal rate of return of 52%. So what you see here, once again, investing into energy efficiency does not mean you're spending money. It's all about earning money. So, and that's it. Now we can start with question and answers. Answers, hopefully.
I'm sure there will be a lot of answers. Mr. Kövener, thank you very much. We are really impressed about how teamwork, such good and fast results can be achieved. There's a question here to Mr. Kövener. Who is paying for the first energy audit? Do the companies have to pay the whole process for themselves, or do they get subsidies?
No, currently, well, there is a history. When we started this large research project, a 30 pilot network project, at that time, it was not mandatory that companies conduct an energy audit. So these companies joining these networks got a subsidy of 30% to conduct their energy audit. By the year 2014, end of 2014, the obligatory audit process was implemented in the EU. So every company has now to conduct an energy audit, and therefore they have to pay it on their own. And they can take the results out of the audit just to join the network.
Thank you very much. There are a couple of other questions, Mr. Kerner.
Yeah.
I think the industry in Latin America is looking forward to implement some of these measures. The next question is, do the networks have specific topics like pressure, air, heat, or are they more general towards industries?
No, every network that is set up, that is implemented. During the first meeting, the companies sit together and discuss what kind of topics they want to hear about in all these upcoming meetings. That's a decision which is made by the participants of the network. For example, I give you, we had a network with hospitals or we currently have a network with hospitals in the city of Cologne. And they're really focusing on topics that are relevant for these hospitals. And on the other hand, we've got an industrial network in the city of Leipzig, and these topics are completely different. So the companies, the participants decide what will be presented in the upcoming network meetings.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much. And here is one last question. Have you experiences or interest in supporting such networks in other countries like Latin America?
We tried to set up something like that in 2015 in Brazil, but that wasn't very successful because of the economic development in Brazil at that time. So we hadn't got a chance to implement that in Brazil. But we have really or have a success story here in Ukraine. We implemented 3 networks in Ukraine. They are still running. We started that project about 2 years ago. We implemented a couple of networks in China, but that's a different story because China is always a different story. And we implemented networks in Jordan and Nigeria. And so that is a good thing with these network concept. It's easy to can be easily transferred to other countries. So there are no real showstoppers. The only actual showstopper would be that we do not find any profitable energy saving measures. But I haven't not yet seen a country where this is the case.
I think I think you're right. There is always a possibility to have a better use of the energy, and well, it's a phrase that we say very often, but energy is really the first step towards anything. And so this is a very good thing. Here I still have another question. I'm sorry. There if it's okay, I will make this question. It is, do you set these networks also up for real estate companies for the energy management of buildings, or is it only focused in the industry?
No, it's not limited to industry. Actually, we've got a building network in Cologne as well, where we've got companies that are, well, more building related. It's the University of Cologne. There are 2 hotels joining this network. So there is no limitation. I think the only limit is the companies that join the network have to have a certain size. It does not make sense to join a network as if you've got a private household with let's say 20 megawatt hours in of use in natural gas or something, because then it would be just too expensive. So it's for medium-sized companies and large companies. Small companies, it might be a little bit difficult. We are trying to figure out if how we can scale down the approach or the cost of participating in a network to make it available for smaller companies. But I would say there is a certain limit. If you're a very small companies with 3, 4, 5 employees, this approach is probably not useful for you. But well, medium-sized companies, 100, 150 people working there, that I would say is the minimum. But otherwise, we haven't got any limitations. Actually, we had run a network with local authorities. So not a company at all, but with local authorities, and that worked quite well as well.
I've seen some examples in Latin America, in El Salvador, in Colombia, networks of energy efficiency in hospitals. Now in Colombia, energy efficiency for industrial processes. The German Chamber of Commerce of Sao Paulo is also working together with some companies to implement this network. So I'm pretty sure this method will be developed and implemented, and it's really a wonderful example from what can be achieved, and in a quick way. The numbers that you showed us are really impressive, and I am sure it's going to be an inspiration from a lot of people from the audience that are listening to us right now.
Okay.
Mr. Kövener, I thank you very much for taking the time. It's almost 8 o'clock, but it's 7:30 in the night, and you still agreed to meet with us, and for that we're very, very thankful.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and hopefully you'll pick up the idea and try to implement some of these networks, because in the end, only an implemented energy efficiency measure is a good one.
Yes, that's right. Not talking, but doing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Thank you very much. Now we come to the end of our 4-day conference. This was a work that we started 3 months ago through many conversations. So I want to thank the 20 chambers of commerce in Latin America, the German chambers of commerce for their support, especially the German Chamber of Commerce in Ecuador, who was or is our main partner with the whole technical work. This is also a teamwork. It's been a teamwork. We have managed to bring together 35 speakers from 9 countries. We have heard about examples of implemented projects, of different strategies implemented not only in Germany but in Latin America, to bring actors together, to bring people to move, to not just talk but move and contribute with their skills and their knowledge. Our goal for these 4 days was really to inspire and to make connections between people so that it could be worked. And today, at this hour, the closing, I think we have managed to achieve our goal, for which we are really proud and thankful to everyone who worked with us. All of our speakers took a lot of time to prepare the presentations, to adapt whatever they usually say or what they work to Latin America, to bring other contacts to talk to us and to talk also to our exhibitors. We have 60 exhibitors in our pavilions in the virtual trade fair. It's been a little bit difficult sometimes to get used to these new format and show up to someone and talk through a screen. But I think in the last couple of days, it has been easier. People have been going to the booths, and exchange has begun. So I would say this should be the start of many other projects. All of the presentations are online right now in our video salon. So I invite everyone who missed the presentations from the last couple of days. We had lots of topics: power generation, energy efficiency in buildings and industry. We talked about community engagement, about environmental technology, political strategies, and new regulatory framework to implement projects. We have talked about green cities, not only what has been done in Latin America, but also in Germany. We have talked about technology, about bilateral cooperation, teamwork through networking, education, and most interesting of all, we have seen examples. We have talked to people who have put their hands on to work and were nice enough to share their experiences, the bad experiences, the good experiences, and the best of all is that the conversation is not over. There, we talked about some topics for which we have not yet have a solution, But I think this is a very good thing. We should not only talk about what we made and what our success has been, but also what we still have to do, where we haven't been able to find a solution. And I am pretty sure together we will do this. I hope that this platform that Energiewende and the Chambers of Commerce, Germany, in the different countries in Latin America, that we were able to provide a good platform to incentivize this cooperation and this work together between professionals in both continents. And I will say we will be seeing each other. We will be trying to make some more of these kind of events, and you are more than welcome to talk to us. We're in our booth in our global hub until midnight. You can leave us a message, you can write to us, and we will be happy to listen to you, to talk about new ideas for new projects that we can build together. So for my part, I don't want to end before I say many thank you to the great team in Energiewende, my colleagues. It was a hard work in 3 months time to build everything together, to mobilize so many people. But everybody did this with love and engagement. And I thank all of you. I thank also the German Chamber of Commerce in Ecuador for being always there, for having patience with all the technical work that's involved. So I don't say goodbye, but see you very, very soon. And we're going to be in our booth so we can still talk to each other. Good night for the people in Germany, and have a very nice rest of the day for all of our guests in Latin America.